Like if we're going to record something live, how do we go from something like this microphone right here through whatever cords and devices are required and then into the box to begin manipulating, editing, or working with the sound somehow? And so let's talk about that process. It first begins with your sound source, which apparently would be me talking right now, and a microphone. Okay, this next lesson is about all the gear, the actual hardware that you're going to need to get started as a film composer. The good news is, anymore, you don't need a whole lot just to get going. With very little, you can really get started and start doing amazing work. Like tomorrow you can get started with just a few essential pieces of gear. And I'd like to just walk through that list. What we're going to talk about is what is known as a digital audio workstation, or a DAW. And it's comprised of pretty much just the elements you see right here. And I'll talk about it in terms of signal flow. Like if we're going to record something live, how do we go from something like this microphone right here through whatever cords and devices are required and then into the box to begin manipulating, editing, or working with the sound somehow? And so let's talk about that process. It first begins with your sound source, which apparently would be me talking right now, and a microphone. And I happen to like this particular microphone that I brought with me. I brought this one specifically because it's not especially fancy. It's not, like a Neumann or an AKG. This is an Audio-Technica 2020. They make a wonderful cardioid microphone like this one that captures a nice wide sound that isn't that expensive. It's actually quite affordable. In fact, there's a deal where you can get this one plus a small little dynamic microphone for just $150 for the pair of them. And if you buy two pairs, then you have nice stereo recording capability. But this cardioid right here is a fantastic microphone, and I highly recommend it. And it's our first step in the process of the DAW signal chain. So first we have this microphone, but then what do we do with it? It's going to need to run through a cable next. So that's where the XLR cable comes in. So XLR is the standard cable for connecting sound to a secondary device. And that next device we need to talk about is your interface. So microphones naturally pick up a rather weak signal, and they require something called amplification for us to hear everything going on. And often you'll send this XLR into a preamp and then to your interface. But an interface like this one often has a preamp, or most good interfaces have a preamp inside that boosts the signal, and then the interface will clean it up a bit before it goes to the box. Meaning the computer. I've just gotten used to calling it that. So this particular interface right here is made by a company called Motu. And I love the name of this company, not the Motu abbreviation, but the fact that the actual name of this company is called Mark of the Unicorn. I think I respect them slightly more for having such an awesome name. And this interface is the next stop for our microphone signal. So for instance, I'm going to take the other end of this XLR connected to the microphone and plug it into input 1. And that's going to be important to remember. So now this microphone signal path goes from me, the sound source, to the microphone, to the cable, which is the XLR, into the interface. And this interface is the intermediary that knows how to take this signal and communicate with the computer. And so what we're going to do is connect this interface to the computer here. And we're going to have to open an audio track in this instance, because remember, when you're using a microphone, you're recording live audio. You need an audio track as a destination for the signal you're getting from your microphone. So it's really important that you open an audio track, not a MIDI track, because this microphone is receiving live audio from me, the sound source, and it needs a place to go. So an audio track is going to host that sound. And once you open an audio track, make sure that since we plug this microphone into input 1 right here, you open an audio track and make sure the input on that audio track is listening for input 1. So once you're in my case, I'm using Logic. I'll open an audio track, make sure that I set it to listen for input 1, and then it just goes to the stereo output. And that way you'll be able to hear the audio as it's streaming in, and you'll be able to edit it and manipulate it later on for your own purposes. And so that's the first step in the process. These are the essential components of DAW. Next, we're going to talk more about virtual instruments. And in the future, of course, I'd like to get into some deeper work on microphones and polarity patterns and different kinds of mics to record with. But today's objective is just to make sure that you have just the essentials to get started right away. And so next we're going to talk a little bit about virtual instruments and sample libraries. If you'd like to learn more film scoring tips like these, sign up for free, and I promise you, these lessons will help you on your journey to becoming an accomplished film composer.